welcome to another week of Surge Online, week 40 now. It's great to have you with us again tonight. We hope you're all doing well wherever you are, sitting, standing or whatever you're doing watching us. We miss you all very much and we can't wait to see you soon. As I said, it's week 14 and I have again reached a point where I need another haircut. So Charlotte's probably going to have to get the old clippers out, so we'll see how that goes again. So yeah, we're looking forward to having another great night with you. We've got our latest biscuit challenge with Emmy having a good go tonight, so where she gets on the leaderboard. We've also this week got a great message from Beth de Soiza, just to annoy you by saying that. So yeah, it's going to be a great night, so please listen well and I will see you in a short while.
Hey guys! So this week's verse of the week comes from James 4 and verse 8, and it says, "Draw near to God and he will draw near to you." And that's a great verse at the minute because, you know, we were created for relationships, to be near people, and at the minute, with everything that's going on, that is not happening, and it's also not natural. But the beauty is that we can draw near to God regardless of COVID-19 and sanctions that have been put in place for social distancing, you know. And when we draw near to him, he will draw near to us, and he'll give us peace and calm our anxieties, and we can just know that we are not alone, even though sometimes it might feel like we are. So yeah, that verse of the week again is James 4 verse 8. Draw near to God and he will draw near to you, and we'll put it on the screen now.
Hi guys, so this week I wanted to share my thoughts on shame, and I know that sounds like a bit of a heavy topic, but just stay with me for a few minutes. This is a big thing that really hindered my relationship with Jesus, so I think it's really important that we talk about it because at some point in our lives everybody has experienced shame of some kind. Shame is defined by a painful feeling of humiliation. And I always used to associate that feeling with sin. I kind of thought shame was feeling condemned for something that you've done wrong. And you can feel shame for doing something wrong, but it doesn't always stem from sin. I look back on my teenage years and I realised how much shame had a hold of my life just for who I was. So if you guys have been following Bible with B, you will know that I briefly spoke about school and my lack of confidence. I think in one of them I shared that I did a maths resit. I was awful at maths. I still can't do it to this day, but I've never needed to use it, so here's hoping that I won't need to use it for the majority of the rest of my life. But yeah, I was 13 in my first maths lesson, my first day of high school, and my teacher was asking me a question and I just had no idea what the answer was. And he would not leave me alone. Like, have you ever had that where your teacher just puts you on the spot and will not move to another kid even though it's obvious that you don't know the answer? It is the most painful feeling ever because they're just staring at you like... So I'm sitting there and my mind is in a total panic. My face is getting hot, some mean girls are starting to giggle, and it's humiliating. And the more my teacher stares at me, the more he starts to get frustrated. And that's when it's getting really bad because he's then saying, "Come on, Beth, it's not that hard," which sounds light-hearted enough, but actually he was adding to my shame because he was pointing out my insecurity. He was pointing out that I'm not as quick as other kids, I'm not as intelligent. And this kind of scenario would repeat itself day in, day out for the rest of my high school life. And the more it repeated, the more unworthy I felt, the more stupid I felt, the more I felt like my life wasn't like other kids. It wasn't brimming with purpose and possibilities and opportunities. Rather, I couldn't really see a future. And I know that sounds quite upsetting, and I'm totally cool now. I'm really bubbly, I'm loving life. But at the time, you know, school put so much pressure on you for if you don't pass your maths GCSE, you're not going to get a job, you're not going to get a career, and that's all that was going through my head. And eventually, the more insecurity crippled me, the more I would do anything to distract myself from it. So instead of facing it, I would cover it up. I would drink more at parties just so that I'd get tipsy, and then I would forget how I really felt, only to go back to school the next day and my shame and insecurity would just follow me right through the gates. I quickly came to realise that I had a distinct problem with insecurity, and that's why this story I'm about to share with you guys is one of my absolute favourites in the Bible. It's not very long, it's only a couple of paragraphs, but there's so much to unpack in just those 2 paragraphs. So it's in Mark chapter 5 verse 25 to 34, and I'm reading from the Passion Translation. So it says, "Now in the crowd that day was a woman who had suffered horribly from continual bleeding for 12 years. She had endured a great deal under the care of various doctors, yet in spite of spending all she had on their treatments, she was not getting better, but worse. When she heard about Jesus and his power, she pushed through the crowd and came up from behind him and touched his shawl. For she kept saying to herself, 'If only I could touch his clothes, I know I will be healed.' As soon as her hand touched him, her bleeding immediately stopped. She knew it, for she could feel her body instantly being healed of her condition. Now Jesus knew at once that someone had touched him, for he felt the power that always surged around him pass through him for somebody to be healed. He turned and spoke to the crowd, saying, 'Who touched me?' His disciples answered, 'What do you mean, who touched you? Look at this huge crowd, they're all pressing up against you.' But Jesus' eyes swept across the crowd, looking for the one who had touched him for healing. When the woman who experienced this miracle realized what had happened to her, she came before him, trembling with fear, and threw herself down at his feet, crying, 'Lord, I was the one who touched you.' And she told him her story of what had happened. Then Jesus said to her, 'Daughter, because you dared to believe, your faith has healed you. Go with peace in your heart and be free from your suffering.'" So in Jewish law, if a woman was bleeding, she was kind of labelled as unclean. So everything she touched was unclean. Everybody she brushed against, they were then made unclean. So based on that, you can kind of begin to grasp how she would have been feeling. She would have been isolated, she would have been shunned, she would have been gossiped about, she would have been pointed at in the street. And she endured this for 12 years. She endured shame and rejection for 12 years because she was taught by the world that she was unworthy. Mark tells us that she spent everything she had on treatments and nothing worked. And I think about how we can be so like this woman. We can try absolutely anything to distract us from how low we feel. We can try whatever cure we think will help. And eventually we'll realise that nothing will work, because the only person that can break through that cycle for us is Jesus. I tried it by drinking more at parties. I tried blending in with the crowd and giving into the peer pressure because I thought I wouldn't be isolated. I tried everything I could to distract me from how low I felt. And it wasn't until I finally surrendered and gave my heart to Jesus that I was free from those things. I was free from that insecurity. I was free from that shame. I was free from that false lie I was believing about myself, that I wasn't good enough. Because that's what Jesus does. He shows you what your true identity is, but he can't do that if we're hiding. He can't intervene if we aren't giving him the opportunity to change us and to change our situation. I love how Jesus was surrounded by people, but the minute she touched him, he felt it. Because that's the beautiful thing about Jesus. He can be surrounded by hundreds of people, but he knows when it's your hand. And I learned so much about the heart of Jesus in this story. I learned how determined he is to find us. He wouldn't stop. He searched that crowd for that woman until he found her. And when he did find her, he didn't call her an outcast. He didn't call her unclean. He called her daughter. And when he did that, he released her from those lies that she spoke over herself, and he told her what her true title was. So I just wanted to tell you guys that whatever insecurity or shame you are struggling with today, Jesus can break that off of you. He will look for you in the crowd until he finds you, and when he does, he will meet with you in the exact way you need him to. I'm just going to pray for you guys if that's okay. So Father, I thank you for every guy and girl watching this, and I pray you would help them to understand that they are a son and a daughter of you, that you crown them with a worth that nothing can take away. I pray, God, you will help them to understand that they are loved beyond measure, and they are more than enough in your eyes because they are your children. In your name I pray, Amen. If you guys would like to talk to one of us about what I've said today or anything else that you might be struggling with, then you know where to find us. We would love to speak with you. We love you guys so much, and we cannot wait to be back with you soon.
So thanks guys for watching again this week. It has been great to have you for week 14. So please do tune in again next week, where we'll have another great message and maybe a few different things as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that on our Facebook and Instagram and YouTube channels. Also, if you've also not seen over the period of this pandemic, have a little look at Renew Church, their Facebook page or their Instagram page, and all the different videos they've been putting up. There's some great stuff on there that, you know, maybe you've never thought about looking at a church or our church website or our pages. And some of the stuff on there might just surprise you about what we do and what we're about. So have a little look. So yeah, thanks for joining us this week, guys. We really can't wait to see you soon, and hopefully as things begin to lift and guidelines change, we'll be able to see you very soon. But in the meantime, please do keep sending us your messages and getting involved with what we're doing. We love to be able to see your messages and see your faces through Zoom and stuff that we've been doing. So yeah, please do keep sending it in because we love you guys. All right, I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys as soon as we can. See you later.